Montana is new in November on Disney Channel.
I've been waiting 10 years to specifically seek out to do a third season Hannah Montana retrospective. Yeah, I know you don't believe me because I'm lying. Hannah Montana Season 3 is the absolute peak of the series for me. I just remember playing my Hannah Montana purple PSP when it came out. It came out with a really crappy Hannah Montana Guitar Hero-like video game with the new songs, and 2 episodes from Season 3, Don't Go Breaking My Tooth and Welcome to the Bungle, and I was so happy to be watching that on the go. But there is so much more to Hannah Montana Season 3 than you would originally imagine. Not only is there character development, relationship escalations, but this is the season where the Hannah Montana movie takes place, and that, for me, is the ultimate form of Hannah Montana media. So we're gonna kind of use that as our centerpiece when we're going over the season. The first half is going to focus on everything leading up to the movie, because the movie is supposedly happens after episode 12. So we're gonna dive into how Hannah Montana has changed since the second season, where it's about to go with the movie, and so much more. Disney Channel is doing such a good job at developing this franchise in a way that's not super cheesy. They still have enough references to what's about to happen, to what happened before, and we got some great surprises on the way. Last time I split up my Season 2 retrospective into 3 parts because it was just so heavy and so much to cover, but this time I'm really excited to do Season 3. I'm just gonna split it into 2. So we're gonna cover the first 12 episodes now. So the first episode we have for Season 3 is He Ain't a Hottie, He's My Brother, which is referring to the song He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. And noticeable differences are Miley's bangs. So Miley has a dream that Lilly and Jackson have feelings for one another. When she wakes up in a cold sweat, she realizes that she just needs to stop eating pork rinds before bed. The next day, Lilly comes over, and when Miley tells her about the dream, she's not that shocked. If anything, she's like, oh, I never noticed him before.
I kinda like him.
Jackson Love and Freaking Nature say what?
The opening title sequence is completely different. It's like a marquee in Times Square, which is awesome because they're using the version of Best of Both Worlds that was featured in the Hannah Montana movie, but we'll get onto that later. Miley is disgusted at the thing she just might have brought on by herself and keeps acting like she's throwing up. Then suddenly they're going throughout the house and see Jackson, and Lilly has a completely different perspective. And I never saw their hallway before. This is kind of cool looking. I definitely see it being in the beach house. But of course Jackson is so disgusting, and I don't know how you'd be in love with anybody after seeing their room the way she did. Miley talks to Oliver about the whole situation.
Can you tell the sun not to rise in the morning? I mean, can you tell a wave not to crash on the shore?
You been watching soap operas again?
No, it's my grandma came in town. She's visiting.
I don't know why Oliver's hair is still like this. Like, you could have at least fixed it a little bit. I mean, at least it's not as long. Miley accidentally spills it to her dad, Robbie Wright, who thinks it's really cute, and she is offended that he thinks that. And he's working on Supergirl in this episode, and being the first episode of Season 3, I'm excited to hear the new album, because this is my favorite.
What's so weird about Lilly liking your brother?
Does Puppy Piddle stain?
Asked and answered.
So Miley ends up telling Jackson the situation, and instead of shutting it down like she kind of hopes he would, he seems just as interested in her.
I don't think about Lilly that way.
Great. I'll go tell her.
Huh.
Huh? What?
I'm starting to think about Lilly that way.
No! No. Wrong way. Go back. Beep, beep, beep.
Miley goes to Lilly, where Lily's expecting to see that they're going to be together. She has this really gross fantasy about them eating big burgers on the couch, and I don't want to see this happen. She tells Lilly that he rejected her, and she is immediately distraught. Oh, Miley, why do you always lie to people? Miley lies a lot. She runs off depressed, and Jackson comes down looking to talk to Lilly. That's when Oliver realizes exactly what Miley did, and Miley has to keep him quiet about it, so she keeps pulling his hair. That is harassment, Miley.
You just told her that. Ow! Why do you keep doing that?
That was the other end. Because it was split. You see.
So now she just made 2 people really unhappy, and Oliver makes her feel really guilty about it. Later, Miley's going to be on a talk show, and it's about her friends, and they come onto the show with her. Mike Stanley, Lola and Jackson, which I guess they know each other in the public eye from dating, which is kind of weird. Miley notices that during the talk show, Lilly and Jackson are actually getting into arguments about the rejection.
Laughable.
Wait,
And we'll be right back.
And Miley calls for a commercial break, which causes an issue. But really, Miley's just worried they're gonna talk to each other and figure out that they both liked each other. As both of them start talking about why they love Miley as a friend, they say because she's honest and caring, and Oliver obviously leans into this. And she finally admits that she lied, and they both liked each other, and they're excited and take her off the talk show. Later, she talks to the two about how it's okay if they really want to date, and they're excited and start dating. And since this is the first episode of the 3rd season, I'm really convinced this is about to happen. If anything, I'm terrified. Like, of course, a big character-changing thing would happen right at the beginning of the new season as we get ready for more relationships. And while there is going to be a relationship inevitably happening, it's not between Lilly and Jackson. In the end, Miley wakes up again the next day, and it turns out that other day didn't even happen. She asks Lilly if she would ever like Jackson, and she makes the throw up face, which is exactly what Miley had hoped. Okay, so we were just pranked by the entire writer's room of Hannah Montana with this episode. It was really funny and really good, though, and I'm so happy I got to watch it.
Football, monster trucks, things explode, boom, man things.
I am excited to see how the other relationship pans out later in this season, but let's stay tuned. So Season 3, Episode 2, Ready, Set, Don't Drive. The title is a parody of Billy Ray Cyrus's Ready, Set, Don't Go. So we know this is going to be a Miley and Billy episode. Robbie Ray and Miley are driving to her driving test. She's really nervous and he says not to worry. But when the guy gets in, he turns out to be gross, smells, eats in the car. It's all disgusting.
And close the window, I'm fighting the cold.
But the smell.
Doesn't bother me, thanks for asking.
Miley even gets to the point where she's so grossed out that she tells him to get out of the car. Miley, come on. There's no way she didn't fail that test. She's upset when she comes to the beach to find Oliver celebrating her getting her license with a giant Miley flag. It turns out that she didn't actually get it, and this is really awkward for nothing. Miley gives a quick speech about why she thinks that this is overrated, even though she quote-unquote got her license.
I personally think is overrated, and it hurts our planet. And not driving, now that takes some courage. I don't think I'm gonna drive today or tomorrow. That's how strongly I feel.
Amber and Ashley come to the beach bragging that Amber just got her license, and it's nice to see these girls again, especially since we're doing another season. It's nice to remember your roots. Oliver and Lilly challenge Amber by saying that Miley got her license first, actually. Miley does not want to back down, so she engages in the trash talk. She insists that she did not fail, and Amber says that, okay, show up to my party then, driving.
Is there a problem?
No. Yes.
Oh boy.
I wonder if she liked my rap.
This doesn't have to do with being a pop star anymore. This is legal. Miley tries to talk Robbie into taking the test again, but that's not really how that works. Meanwhile, Rico is staying at the Stewart's house. Turns out that they gave Robbie Ray Laker tickets in order to have him stay there. And he's already gross. I don't know how Jackson is going to be turned off by this grossness, especially if he's worse. Meanwhile, Miley goes to the DMV to approach the lady, and I love how they paint them as like kind of like villains or scary and snarky, because that's kind of how they are at government jobs. She realizes that she cannot get her test moved up under no exception, so she has to pull a little Hannah action. She comes back in dressed as Hannah Montana with Lola and bribes the lady with concert tickets.
How refreshing is that? Standing in line, waiting your turn. She's just a regular.
Why are you talking?
I don't know.
It seems like she's about to help Hannah with the tickets, so she gets her license. Robbie goes out for a little bit, and Jackson is terrified at being alone with Rico. This is crazy. Their boundaries are so terrible. Like, Rico is his boss, and then also staying at his house. Like, what the heck, guys? Miley is super excited for the party, as she has her license now and she's driving down the road. Only one problem. The cop pulls her over, checks her ID, and it turns out it is not Miley, it is Hannah.
Is there a problem, officer? Diarrhea?
Did you give a birth certificate for Hannah Montana? Like, the stuff you need to get a license for the state of California is definitely, like, she would have to have a separate social security number. Like, this doesn't make any sense. So the cop throws her in jail, which I don't think would happen? She begs to get released, saying that she actually is Hannah Montana, and making it this big deal like she's finally revealing her secret, but really she just needs to get out of jail, so it looks even more sus. Jackson's on a date with a girl, which is the stupidest idea while Rico's living with him. Like, it's gross, and she even walks out.
I'm sorry. You're just not worth it.
Wait, no! I clammed it!
Then we go back to Miley in prison, and she gets beat up. No, I'm just kidding. She's the only one in this prison for some reason. The cop calls Robbie's house, saying that they found Hannah Montana, and to confirm that she is also Miley.
Yes, of course. She lives here with me and my wife, Shakira. Now crank somebody else. You're killing Rico's beauty buzz.
The cop says that they'll have a detective come in and talk to her to determine if she really is Hannah, and I'm already excited. This is a really fun plot. I like that it started out to be about Miley, but transferred into a Hannah Montana problem. Like, this is so funny. The cop says that if they could convince this little girl, this 12-year-old girl, his daughter, that she's Hannah Montana because she's the biggest Hannah fan, that he will let her go. Not sure what law that is that says that's okay, but sure.
December 19th, 2007, Hannah performed where?
Hartford Civic Center.
What did she open with?
Rockstar.
Closed with?
Best of both worlds. 10 minutes standing ovation, baby.
So this girl comes in strong, aggressive, and asks her really specific questions about Hannah. Like, I don't even know if I would know the answers to this if they asked me. Later, Rico is depressed because Jackson doesn't want him there. So he's on the phone, and Jackson actually feels bad until he picks it up and verbally assaults the other person.
Want to come over for a game of hide and seek? I'll let you find me, my sweet little churro. Oh no!
And it turns out to be Rico's actual parents. It's really awkward, but it turned out to be all a part of Rico's plan anyway. After Miley is going crazy from answering all these questions, like she is losing her mind, the little girl finally determines that nope, this could not be Hannah Montana. She is not answering the questions correctly. Later, as she's about to exit, Miley starts singing. And this is the first time I think Miley has, as herself, sung. Like, it's really cool to hear Hannah Montana's voice coming out of her. I remember as a child, I was definitely really confused if these were the same people or if Miley and Hannah were different actors playing different parts. Like, I remember being so confused. But hearing this happen is actually like a really nice moment. Like, I like that this season is becoming more about Miley needing to be herself more than Hannah in order to solve a situation. Robbie finally comes up to the jailhouse, and so it didn't really matter that she proved that she wasn't Hannah. She is grounded for a long time. And worse, Robbie decides to still drive by Amber and Ashley's party and announce over a megaphone that she did not get her license.
It's Miley Stewart's daddy dropping her off at the party because she didn't get her license.
Ugh, payback stinks. But yeah, in the end, episode number 2. So the next episode is episode 3, Don't Go Breaking My Tooth, a parody on the title Don't Go Breaking My Heart. We meet this culinary expert on this cooking show. Robbie and Miley are watching from the living room as Robbie critiques Miley on her dental care.
I love our relationship. You pretend you don't kiss boys, and I pretend I believe you.
When Miley's trying to get something out of her mouth, she uses a fork. And ow, Miley, that hurts. And then it ends up knocking one of her teeth out. And it's kind of gross because it's on Jackson's nose. So we have a dental episode coming in. Robbie's on the phone with the dental people as Miley is in so much pain. Robbie's concerned because he wants to take her to the dentist but can't. And Miley is essentially like, don't worry about it. Like, I can go to the dentist on my own. I'm old enough.
Perform in front of thousands of people without him. I can sure as heck go to the dentist without that.
Robbie says they both know how scared she gets at the dentist. Meanwhile, Lily is laughing at Oliver and Joni. Remember Oliver and Joni? Yeah, they're dating. I forgot about that for a little bit. But apparently she's a vegetarian and Oliver has willingly given up meat. Turns out that he really doesn't want to and is just putting on a facade for her. Rico hears about this and is really excited to mess with him about it. He even starts a whole barbecue at the beach just to prove a point. And Oliver is like melting, like he cannot handle it.
It's the promised land.
So then Miley and Jackson are at the dentist together. Jackson is making fun of the other kids, which is not really nice, and Miley finds out that her usual dentist isn't in, and she's gonna have somebody else instead.
Do you want me to call your daddy?
so she's even more determined to go through with this. So as she's in with the new dentist, he's a little bit more aggressive, not super friendly, and doesn't understand that she is terrified already. She tries to talk her way out of getting the whole treatment done, and he gets more and more frustrated. She even...
Here we go. Perfect.
puts funny kitty ears on it. I mean, I like that this dentist is actually trying. That's very sweet. She fantasizes that he pulls out a huge needle, which isn't actually the reality, and she just runs out terrified. Now she's at her home, still in pain because she couldn't go through with the dentist, and Lilly is like, you cannot keep this from your dad, which you can't. This is such a bad pain. As somebody with tooth pain in the past, like, it hurts so bad.
And Dad'll never know.
It also sucks because Jackson knows that she didn't go through with it, so it's everybody but Robbie who Miley has to keep the secret from. And you know how funny it is when Miley has to keep a secret from Robbie. It is really funny. I mean, it also was the last episode, so I feel like this plot happens a lot. Turns out that Robbie actually got Hannah Montana tickets on this cooking show that they saw earlier. Miley's excited but nervous, and even Lilly has a bad feeling about it.
Yay, Miley! Yay, me!
We cut back to Oliver, who is waking up in a trance covered in meat. It turns out that he relapsed last night and had too much meat. Joni is running around looking for him, and Rico is stalling, but he's not really any help.
Must have been a pack of wild dogs. I'm guessing 10, 9, 8.
Oliver tries to sneak away, but he's caught in the box by Rico.
Oliver?
Oliver no está en casa.
He comes clean to Joni, saying that he really does love meat, and she's understanding because he was honest with her. This is already a pretty dysfunctional relationship, it feels like. We finally get to the cooking show. Lilly reminds her to be really careful with her tooth, and while doing her makeup even hurts her more. Oh, poor Miley, I empathize with her so much. She tries to use any excuse to get out of it, but everybody pushes her too. This is not cool. Hannah Montana is brought on stage. As she's on the show, she tries the dish and everything turns out okay, so she can get off the channel and everything's good. But he stops her and says he made her a surprise treat.
Because I have made you a very special treat. And here it is.
Peanut brittle. Yeah, like one of the crunchiest, hardest candies of all. Jackson is laughing so hard. She tries to excuse it by eating the other dessert, but the cook pushes and pushes so hard.
I'm not done.
Yes, you are.
No, I am
Yes,
not.
you are.
Let loose of my moose.
Until the dessert falls onto Jackson, which is a funny and unnecessary plot point. Miley eventually does try the peanut brittle, and her screams are heard from throughout Earth. Finally, she's back at the dentist as Miley with a fish on her face, and Robbie is finally with her. So all of this to avoid slight humiliation is depressing. Robbie says it's okay to accept the fact that there's some things she's not ready to grow up out of, and this is a good lesson.
I totally destroyed your shields, Jeremy.
Did not.
Did too.
Did not.
Did too. Dad!
And we see Jackson arguing with a toddler just to show that this is really true. Overall, this is a really fun episode because Miley is struggling to accept her adult responsibilities that aren't on her own terms, and we'll see that in the next couple episodes. Like, she's given more responsible scenarios and keeps buckling down and refuses to change, ending in more issues. And I like that in these past couple episodes, it starts out as Miley's problem but becomes Hannah's problem, and Hannah Montana is the one who ends up having to get out of it, even though they're not, separate people. But yeah, we see a lot of similarities in next episode, You Never Give Me My Money. A parody of You Never Give Me Your Money by the Beatles. So Miley, Lilly, and Oliver enter the beach to find that Rico's is under a giant tent. When it's taken off, it turns out Rico is having a huge empanada party. Rico's outfit is really nice and his dance is fun too. Apparently they're so good that Miley could kiss Rico, but doesn't. She puts $1 on his lips. This makes Miley realize she wished she had a lot more money and that maybe she should ask her dad for a raise.
No deal is a match for the puppy dog face. Watch.
Please, Daddy.
As she goes home to do so, Jackson is already asking for an expanded curfew, in which Robbie rejects like cold hard. This already is a sequel to the episode Let It Be. Remember from season 1, it's where Miley got that credit card and then accidentally overspent, but then learned her lesson at the end? Yeah, I bet this is gonna be an exact replica. Miley is upset because she has to wait for her next allowance in order to go somewhere, do the movies, anything, and I really relate to this scene. like being able to pay for things and hang out with friends, but like the money's tight, that's really frustrating. I get it, Miley.
I so need more guy friends.
Miley finally goes in to ask him, with Jackson still trying to sell Robbie on his curfew thing, but Miley just comes right out and says it like she wants a raise in her allowance. But instead, Robbie flips it on her and says that he's going to give her...
How's $5,000 sound?
Daddy, whose wallet's even tighter than his jeans, say what?
And that she's old enough and mature enough. And as he's doing this, Lily and Oliver are celebrating in the background because of course your friends are happy for you for such a big win. Later, Jackson tries to use the guilt trip on Robbie by almost crying.
Anything for my favorite. That hurts. Bad. It's why I stopped growing. You need love to grow.
And Robbie says that, okay, since he's responsible, he'll let him go out past curfew as long as he has his phone on him. And then Jackson says yes, he's excited, and then realizes he doesn't have his phone on him. He tries to hide it from Robbie, who immediately notices it in the egg carton. How in the world, Jackson, did you leave it in the egg carton? Robbie knows he's lying immediately. Meanwhile, Miley is at the bank depositing her money. The accounting guy at the bank is like super smiley and it's really weird, and tries to talk her into buying these really nice checkbooks. Miley and Lily get carried away, but then they realize that's part of the issue. Like, they need to spend it responsibly.
Cannot believe I didn't see this coming.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so obvious.
You guys have no idea, do you?
Nope.
Not a clue.
Miley realizes that maybe this is a test from her father to see if she's going to be responsible. And I like that we actually mentioned Let It Be. So Miley exits, she has her checkbook, but she's determined not to spend anything. Lily and Oliver are kind of disappointed. And then we see Rico still trying to sell his empanada and churros and rolls his tongue so hard he faints. Why'd you have to put that in?
So, Miley.
She's so convinced that Robbie is keeping an eye on her that he comes running by the beach and almost challenges him.
Which I won't be buying either, because I got it free at home. Smart cookie.
Jackson is still attempting to find his phone, but he cannot find it anywhere. He actually even trains a golden retriever to look for it. But then when the golden retriever goes right to the egg basket, Jackson thinks he's crazy and dismisses it. Robbie comes home to find that the cell phone is still there, so Jackson hasn't found it.
But I'm not. Why, you ask? Because my father doesn't trust me.
So when Jackson does this guilt trip and pretends to be upset that his dad doesn't trust him, it becomes super obvious how much he's lying. He runs off with the opportunity, and Robbie is really mad now because it's like, of course he should have just come clean. He runs out the door to find Jackson's there, and he did come clean. He was guilty, so Robbie's super proud and allows him to go out. Robbie's like this sensei that gives you really mundane tasks as a test for something bigger, and I think that's really funny of him.
It's like they know I'm here.
Meanwhile, Miley goes to the mall with Lily and Oliver, determined still not to spend anything. Okay, so then why are you at the mall? It turns out there's this blush that's brand new and on sale, and in order to avoid using her credit card, she tries to take a little girl's wig.
Camera splashing people fighting for the best shot. They like my hair.
You wear this thing too long, it'll give you a head rash. Believe me, honey, I know.
Dress as Hannah Montana and get it for free. Okay, Miley, that's actually kind of strat. In the end, she becomes so obsessed with trying to get the product still that she falls into the display, which has actual makeup in it. Finally, Robbie is blowing off all the makeup as she is standing up to him. She's like, you were right, fine, you win. But Robbie admits that he didn't give it to her as a test. He gave it to her because he knew she was ready, and she needs to accept that. But she's a little guilty. She feels like she's not ready, and that's a very mature thing of her to say. And this is kind of where the episode ends. So even though it was less Hannah Montana heavy, it still was a pretty good episode, seeing Miley deal with these responsibilities. And as we're getting ready for the Hannah Montana movie, it's gonna come up more and more. The next one is kind of funny. It's called Killing Me Softly with His Height. Obviously a parody of Killing Me Softly with his song, which is a really good one. Second episode where Miley, it seems like, has full bangs. So Miley and Lilly are at the mall shopping. Looks like she didn't learn from the last episode. Lilly and Miley spot a really cute guy, and Miley calls dibs on him.
Howdy with all of dibs. Wait.
So this is one of Oliver's friends, it seems like, and they're just hanging out. Miley and this guy really hit it off flirting, and it seems like a relationship, I guess. A girl tries to ask out Oliver, and he turns her down for like some objective reason.
I was wondering if maybe you'd want to go catch a movie tonight.
Sorry, Sophie, I'm going out of town tonight. Yeah, I'm doing some roadie work for this cool new band. The restroom's this way.
Miley critiques Oliver for turning her down for one small physical thing, and I'm confused because isn't he dating Joni? Like, they didn't break up, I don't think, this far, so I'm not sure why that's not an excuse for him. But yeah, while she's critiquing him on being so shallow,
I'm going to the carnival with someone totally nice. Something you would be doing if you weren't so judgmental.
Yeah, face it, Oliver. Miley's just a bigger person.
turns out this guy is super short and Miley is the shallow one, of course. Oliver starts to mock her because he knows that she is turned off by his shortness, and it's really funny because I agree with Oliver. Like, she was just mocking him. Like, of course you're gonna turn back. Meanwhile, Robbie is cutting down a tree. Jackson is focused on trying to get into the University of Santa Barbara, and then this is one of the early references that continues a long storyline. Turns out that he needs to get a really good letter of recommendation to make up for his grades. And who is one of the people on the board? Mr. Dodzig, the neighbor.
Not bad, Stuart. But you're gonna have to do a lot more than this if you want to get a letter of recommendation out of me.
Yes, Mr. Donzig. Very good, Mr. Donzig. Anything you say, Mr.
And we get to see Mr. Donzig again. I feel like he was in it a lot in season 1, not that much in season 2. And it's even funnier when Robbie and Mr. Donzig are neck and neck. Meanwhile, Miley goes on the date with this guy, and everything reminds her of his height. They go into this photo booth where he can't fit in it. She gets a bobblehead, which reminds her of him. And he even wins her a giant stuffed animal that's even bigger than he is, this is just completely unrealistic. The most cringiest part is when a mom comes over to ask Miley's date if he would go on the kiddie ride with her daughter, because he's short enough.
Did you have to be taller than him?
Lily and Oliver come over, and Miley still contemplates whether this is a good idea or not, or if she should just give in to being shallow. As they're about to say goodnight to each other, he leans in for a kiss, and she is just so uninterested, so she rejects him, and he knows exactly why. It's because of his height. She makes up something that, like, it's her lip exercises, which is really stupid, and she feels terrible. Robbie comes out and somehow jokes about it. I don't know how he knows what's going on.
I brought you in for something to eat, but obviously you're stuffed.
Miley excuses her disinterest in this guy as just not being attracted to him, but then she imagines what it would be like to be short, and her concert is just her on her knees in her shoes getting judged for being too short, which this is a good lesson on empathy.
Don't judge me! I'm a human being!
Biggest thing in pop? Doesn't look like it from here!
Mr. Dodzig finally gives Jackson his recommendation with one more clause, that he gets Robbie to go out on a date with his sister.
I have a sister.
I feel sorry for her.
She happens to be a big Robbie Ray fan.
I'm starting to feel sorry for me.
And obviously they're like, oh my gosh, if it's his sister, she's probably really not attractive.
Oh my gosh, it's Robbie Ray. I don't believe it.
Miley runs over to the Christmas exhibit to go visit the guy she went on a date with and kind of apologize for being so shallow. Maybe give him another chance. Of course, it doesn't help that he's dressed as an elf. His job is literally being an elf. So as an elf, he rejects her. He does not want to talk to her. He knows kind of what she's about. So she decides to go on with this gesture and prove that she isn't going to be shallow. Like, she wants to give him a real chance. She might like him. So she dresses up as a reindeer and gets involved in the exhibit. Not really the best way to communicate. Apparently, Robbie did go on a date with that girl, and another one of Mr. Donzig's sisters wants to go on a date with him.
What do you need Farmer Fred to do?
Turns out my cousin is an even bigger Robbie Ray fan.
I say good day, darling. I said good day, darling.
Robbie rejects it, saying that it's not worth it, and it turns out to be Lisa Rinna. Yeah, the famous girl from Beverly Hills Housewife. He says basically like, oh, you're too ugly, like nobody's ever gonna love you, which is so rude, and it's funny because it's like obviously she's gorgeous. She pulls him aside and really proves to him that she wants to go on another date. I feel like the moral of the story is that it's important she doesn't judge people too soon and she actually gives it a full try.
I don't usually date girls with antlers, so...
And I don't really go out with guys who wear tights. But, I'll give it a shot if you will.
I guess this is the closest episode they've had to being Christmas related. I mean, I get it that he was dressed up as an elf, but like they're still on the beach. Like the carnival wasn't Christmas related. I mean, that would have made sense, but like, I don't know, it's not a Christmas episode, but it is the closest thing Hannah Montana's ever come to it so far. Overall, another episode about Miley being shallow. Okay, I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to get that Miley's a flawed character. It feels like all of this stuff is happening because of her, but you know, she's the main character, so I guess that is the plot. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Hopefully Miley's going to be normal in this one. Episode 6, Would I Lie to You, Lilly? Oh my gosh, okay, already. So in Would I Lie to You, Lilly, a parody of the song Would I Lie to You, Miley, Lilly, and Oliver are dressed as their alter egos coming home from apparently an awards event of some sort. They have these nice purple boxes with gifts in them. Miley brings up the trip they're about to all take to Washington, D.C. The lip balm messes with Lily's speech, so she admits in a blubbering voice that she's not going.
No, that's too much money. That is not too much money. Money.
Turns out she does not have enough money. Miley is immediately like, I will help pay for you, but she's like, no, like, I don't want that. She acts like she didn't want to go anyway and storms off upset.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I think she really wanted to go.
Meanwhile, at school, they're getting ready for the big field trip with the same teacher from the last season. I like this guy. So Mr. Corelli tells Lilly that they actually have enough money in the budget to be able to fund one of the students' trips. But Lilly is suspicious. She sees a check from Miley in his books. Turns out Miley was trying to pay for it. Lilly is mad because she still doesn't want to accept the money, but Miley just really wants her to go. Oliver suggests that Lilly maybe has a yard sale to raise money to go.
Oliver, that's a great idea.
Well, you see, that's the thing. The oak in mine, I'm always thinking. I never...
Meanwhile, Jackson is having trouble at Rico's beach shop because apparently it's a lot of work and he is alone. Rico is a jerk all the time.
Would you please hire some more help? What do you think, I made of money? Jeez. Oh, look. I guess I am. My mistake.
And when they see Sarah, Rico decides that he's going to hire her, the person that Jackson hates. Sarah has this obsession with Jackson, which I'm not really sure where it came from. They finally have the yard sale on the beach. Lilly is trying to sell all of her stuff, and Oliver tries to con her out of it.
Hey, Lilly, how much for the sketchy thing?
$5.
I'll give you $1.50.
Forget it.
But it's missing a knob.
Miley shows up and claims that she wants to sell a bunch of her old stuff, and Lily's like, okay, yeah, sure. But then it ends up being like a super expensive TV, brand new stuff, and Lily's like, no, I'm not gonna sell this. Like, it's just you trying to give me money to go. I would take it if Miley was trying this hard.
The Takamori 1080 3D HD, this just came out today. Give you $5 for it.
Miley admits, okay, fine, she won't do that, and she takes all the stuff back. When Lilly comes back, everybody is trying to buy her things. Lily's super excited until she finds out that everybody's trying to buy it because Hannah Montana's signature is on it. So Miley is trying to upsell all of her items. But Lilly is frustrated and doesn't count any of it. So when she's trying to figure out how much she got, turns out she does not have enough to go on the trip, and she's just disappointed once again. But later this guy points out her hat and says that that is one of the most expensive old school hat from the New Jersey Knights apparently. And it meant everything to his grandfather, and he'll give her $1,000 for it. She's super excited until she realizes that this has to be Miley. There's no way that this guy just gave her that much money for that. And she super secret swears, which apparently her and Lilly do when they need to be super honest with each other. She says, I did not give that guy money to buy that hat. Oliver doesn't believe her and corners her after, and she admits that she didn't give the money to him to buy the hat, she gave it to his brother.
Gave it to his wife, she gave it to him.
which is kind of a lie because she knew it would inadvertently be given to her. Really not cool, Miley. So finally, everybody's on the bus to Washington and really excited when one of the kids is wearing Lily's lucky hat.
Oh no. The guy I got to buy Lily's hat was Blabby Bobby's daddy.
Of course she's gonna recognize it, so Miley has to do whatever it takes to get that out of her sight. Lily eventually finds the guy and learns that her hat wasn't lucky and this was all Miley's ploy, and she is super upset because of course she said she super secret swore. Like obviously now Lily can't even trust her because of that.
No, you super secret swore that you had nothing to do with me getting the money.
Look, I did it for you.
No, if you had done it for me, you wouldn't have done it because I told you I didn't want you to do it, but you did it anyway, so you did it for you. You do-worker, you were.
Meanwhile, Jackson is working with Sarah, and she's super unbearable, turning everything into an environmental statement at Rico's. Even Rico is starting to have an issue when she decides not to use the actual trays because it's environmental waste. And then finally, her dad is running the electricity by being on a bicycle, which is kind of sad. Rico is about to fire her when it turns out he gives her a raise instead. Jackson is so frustrated. Jackson tries to ask him about it, but it turns out that Rico is just really buckling down on trying to annoy Jackson. She literally promoted him. And on the Washington, D.C. tour, everybody's having a good time except for Lily and Miley because obviously they're in a huge argument. They even leave the tour group to argue in the presidential suite when they find a press room. And they go and argue in front of a bunch of microphones only to find out that there's an entire press conference going on. Suddenly, all these journalists have questions about their friendship and help them dispute their argument.
Do you believe under certain circumstances it's okay to lie?
Well, you're right. They're busy people. They don't have time for us.
No. Like you said, they are the press. They have a right to know.
They finally end up at the end of the day being like, okay, like I had the best intentions for you and I just wanted to make it up to you. And they finally resolve it. The end.
Hey, just like in my head.
And even the Jackson side plot does not end on a positive note. Sarah still has a promotion and a girl tries to hit on Jackson, but then is harassed by Sarah. So that's just how the episode ends. I guess Sarah works there now. Okay, this is what I like to call the Oliver Pity episode. The episode is number 7 of season 3, You Gotta Lose This Job. It's a reference to the Beatles song, You Gotta Lose That Girl. So Miley is sending an audition tape in for the movie Indiana Jones. Her reader during the audition is so monotone, and this guy is so funny. He's known for his cartoon acting, and Everybody Loves Raymond. He's just all around a good guy. But Miley thinks that it's gonna make the audition bad, so Robbie steps in, and he is just as bad.
The water is so cold, Johnny. I can't feel my legs. Shivers.
And then after that, Lily comes in, who is even worse.
But the water, it's so cold!
Miley is so focused on trying to get this part, she stares at her cell phone all day. She even checks out of class to check her email. They head out to music practice where Oliver is actually getting ready for his new song. He too has a really big audition coming up. And I love this song, Last Forever. It's on the Hannah Montana 3 soundtrack and it is delightful. Oliver is just such a gifted singer. Miley's already inconsiderate of a friend and is trying to get cell reception during his performance, which is so, oh my god, Miley. It's an audition to play at the school dance and Oliver does a great job. Meanwhile, in the B plot, Jackson gets into ventriloquism, and I'm not sure if it's just to bother Rico or what. He's actually pretty good at it. Suddenly, Lily is annoyed because Miley and Oliver are now obsessed with their phones waiting for a response. And if I had to tell you this changed in reality, and if I had to tell you the culture has gotten any worse than this, I would. It has. Both Miley and Oliver get a call at the same time, but Miley got a call back, so she's super excited and they do the happy dance. Expecting Oliver to have gotten good news too.
Yay! Why aren't you jumping?
Why aren't you yay?
Why aren't you jumping in yay?
I didn't get it.
Oh my gosh, all it was a school dance and he got rejected. That is so not fair. I would love to hear who beat him out for that. Oliver gets really depressed because, you know, he's always around Miley's success, and the one time he actually tried to go after something, it just didn't work out. I mean, I would feel bad too. Oliver kind of makes it personal in that he doesn't really want to be Miley's friend because of how negative her successes make him feel. He doesn't even respond, he just walks out.
He's acting like I get everything I want.
No,
Mom, your album just went double platinum.
Later, she's trying to call him, but he just won't answer. It seems like he really doesn't want to be her friend anymore. I like that the reason he's not being friends with them just comes down to feeling left out of the spotlight. Like, usually in kids shows, it's like something really bad happens or one character's extremely selfish, but this feels like a really grounded reason for people not to become friends. If anything, I'm worried that they're better off this way, and I hate that. Meanwhile, Oliver finally answers her call, but it turns out that Lilly forced him to.
Oliver, I swear, if you don't talk to her, this is going down your shirt.
Well, then I guess it's going down my shirt because I'm not talking to her.
And she dumps ice down his back. She decides the only way to get his friendship back is to act like a complete diva in her callback, lose the part, and be able to tell him that she doesn't win everything.
Why isn't he standing? I entered, didn't I?
Is she serious?
Please, just do it. She has my mother.
She shows up to Rob Reiner's office, puts on her whole act, and he actually really loves it. Oh my god, this guy is messed up. Hollywood is messed up because I kind of believe this happened. He gets that she's doing a complete act and gives her the part.
I really am wacky. 1 minute I'm perfectly fine, and the next I'm pouring ice water down your shirt.
Oh, come on, like you would do that.
Lola.
As Jackson bothers Rico even more with this puppet, Rico gets so upset that he throws it out, and it ends in a wood chipper. Oh my gosh. Apparently, this dummy is for a kids' party that Jackson will be performing at. And now that he doesn't have the dummy, somebody's gonna need to step in. Oh wait, it's Rico.
Make it up to you. Don't worry. Yeah, you will. And I know exactly how.
Then we have a really funny bit of Rico being rude to Jackson in front of a bunch of kids, and you know, it's definitely funny.
How do you make time fly?
Not by listening to you. You stink.
And then Lilly and Miley try to play up Miley's disappointment of not getting the part and trying to get Oliver to be her friend again.
Miley, talk to us, please.
I didn't get the part.
Oh!
She ends up admitting that she tanked the audition just to get his attention. And he finally realizes how much she cares about him, and it's really sweet. The reason I call this the Oliver self-pity episode is because I feel like I've never seen him this low down, and it doesn't really seem like he's trying to achieve a goal. It just seems like he's using his depression as an excuse to leave somebody, and it's kind of distasteful. I've seen better episodes of Oliver, and I want to just believe that this is just a one-off, you know?
And it'll be hard, but you know, not nearly as hard as losing a friend like you.
In the end, Rico sees the dummy one more time, and it's not with Jackson. It's not even a living dummy. But yeah, this episode is really fun. This episode definitely deepens the relationship of the characters, that they're not just passive friends, that they actually have to work together to keep each other in each other's lives. And I love shows that are able to capture the real disagreements that people would have with one another. Okay, next we have Welcome to the Bungle, a parody of the title Welcome to the Jungle. We start with Miley singing Supergirl, which is one of the best songs on the Hannah Montana 3 track, on the Live with Regis and Kelly knockoff. And oh my gosh, these hosts are the most annoying people I've ever seen.
We have a frozen yogurt machine back there. She doesn't even use a bowl.
I really don't. It just goes straight down the chute. But seriously, pregnancy has taught me that good nutrition is no laughing matter.
I know that's the part of the joke, but it's just ridiculous. Meanwhile, at the beach, Lilly agrees with me. She makes fun of the talk show hosts, and it's relevant. Miley hears on the radio that all the kids started eating candy corn because of what Hannah Montana said on TV. Miley apparently publicly shames carrots.
You know what? No, thank you. I don't like carrots. I don't really like anything with the word rot in it.
You don't like carrots?
Sorry, if this girl's eating an orange snack, it will be candy corn.
As kids across America ditch the healthy snack for candy corn.
We want candy corn! We want candy corn!
So we're gonna dive into the real life complications of having a pop star role model, and this is one of the topics I was super excited for them to cover. Next, Miley goes back on the talk show to advocate for carrots. She comes dressed as a carrot, which is really embarrassing, and changes the lyrics to match the vegetable.
Everybody's crunching me, I clear your skin and help you see. I'm super carrot.
Meanwhile, Jackson and Oliver fight over a girl on the beach, and they're fighting about who is more attractive, who is cuter, and they're even interrupted by a modeling agent saying that both of them have great potential.
I have been looking for it all day, and you two have got it.
Yeah, but I took an oatmeal bath earlier.
They laugh at first until she mentioned that there's gonna be girls, and then both of them agree. Then we go back to Miley on the talk show, knowing that she really doesn't like carrots and seeing her be fake and try to get the kids to have them. The next day, her and Lily watch TV, only to find out that Miley ended up trashing books. And now suddenly none of the kids are reading, and she's like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. We actually tackle a really real issue in the entertainment industry, which is expecting all these teenage idols to become role models. Apparently it affects the entire world, which I love it when a show's stakes are so high that one mistake can lead to an entire world having issues. Like, it just shows that Miley is in such a position of power that all of her flaws are exaggerated times 1,000, and that always makes a good TV show. Miley debates trying to undo the book situation, and Robbie suggests that she actually practices her public relations. And who better to test her than Jackson?
And we were looking over the majestic Pacific.
Don't offend the other oceans.
The majestic mighty waters.
Nice save, now take me home!
Jackson drills her on all these questions she could be asked to make sure that she will not advocate for something wrong again. Jackson turns out to be actually pretty good at this, and Miley's impressed and wants to do good. And then we get a really uncomfortable sequence of Jackson and Oliver being models, and I don't know what this is. I do not remember this episode, but I know for a fact that there's no way it's gonna end up with them actually being models. Oh my gosh, and it's not. It's them in a magazine saying that they're average, which is so rude. Of course Rico is laughing at this, and they put up a giant poster on the beach. Oh my god, these poor guys. Then Miley's back on a talk show, this time with a script to make sure she does not mess up. If I were these hosts, I'd be like, why are we bringing the same celebrity back on 3 times this week? Miley tries so meticulously to watch her words to not cause any more outbursts that she barely can talk. It's even worse when they open the audience to fan questions, and she has to be super broad with her answers.
I loved reading, but then you said you hated it, and now you say you like it again, and I just don't know what to do.
Oh no, honey. Don't cry. Just because I don't like reading doesn't mean you don't have to.
So you don't like reading again?
Which kind of reminds me about all media nowadays. Like, I feel like all celebrities just don't want to be under public scrutiny, so they'll say whatever. And that's kind of what Miley's going through right now. The audience critiques everything she said, and she just essentially cannot win in any of these scenarios. You can see her getting visibly upset because she's trying so hard to do the right thing. And if I were in her position, I would be just as upset. Miley has a speech where she says that they should not look up to her. She talks about if, like, one of your friends didn't like carrots, doesn't mean you can't. And the host comes in with a really wise thing to say, saying that self-worth actually comes from within, and everybody's shocked that he's so insightful.
Self-worth comes from you, not from others.
Saving Hannah Montana from this tragedy. We end the episode with a similar plot line to when Hannah had that zit poster where Jackson and Oliver are trying to take down the posters of themselves. I think this is the same actress from that episode too. Overall, this is like one of the best episodes in the entire series because it shows the most humorous and the most tragic parts of being a celebrity, having to have your own opinion, but also not being expected to speak for everybody else. The definition of a celebrity, though, is inherently representing all of us. That's why we have such hard pressure on them. But if we actually take a step back and see where a celebrity is coming from, this person who actually makes mistakes and has a good and a bad side, we'll realize that nobody should really be held under such scrutiny. I mean, times are changing now, and it seems like celebrities aren't all they're cracked up to be, and people are preferring a more human experience with more flawed people, and I love that our culture is turning that way. But this was a time where it was 100% real. Like, everybody was looking to celebrities to know what to do. And of course, Miley, a 16-year-old girl, can only give the perspective from a 16-year-old. And showing how much she cares to get it right is just really good for her character, because she makes a lot of terrible, terrible decisions and comes across as pretty selfish most of the time, I would say. But this episode, she comes from a very genuine place. And I love the fact that most of the scenes are all on this talk show. It's both funny, realistic, and it's just, oh gosh, I love this episode. So in Papa's Got a Brand New Friend, it's a reference to the song Papa's Got a Brand New Bag. Hannah Montana is at a choreography rehearsal, a side that we don't usually get to see of Hannah. Her choreographer is awesome, energetic, and falls out a window in this opening. Oh no.
Just walk it off. Okay. Crawling works too. Oh no.
Robbie is helping Miley try to figure out somebody to replace her.
She's incapacitated.
Oh, well, let's just drive to Capacitated and get her.
Meanwhile, Joni is trying to get Oliver to exercise with her. See, they are in a relationship, so he should have used that as an excuse in the killing her softly with his height episode. Oliver has a hard time fitting in with her, and I feel bad for this guy. Jackson tries to tell him to stand up for himself, but Oliver just can't. Meanwhile, Robbie and Miley are auditioning new choreographers, and they're all kind of cringy until there's this guy that comes in and has really sweet moves, and Miley finds out that she actually choreographed for Madonna, NSYNC, and he's a super charismatic and fun guy. Robbie even hires him before Hannah could. In the B-plot, Oliver has finally come to terms that he needs to not be with Joni anymore, so Jackson tries to inspire Oliver to get her to break up with him first. He does this really specific thing where he pretends that he could communicate with aliens and tries to bring her along with him, and I'm not falling for this, Oliver. Joni ends up being supportive and tries to follow along with his new hobbies. When it's finally time for the first session of choreography, Hannah reveals to Lola that apparently choreographer and Billy Ray have become super tight friends and have a new dialogue between each other, and it's actually really sweet. The second choreography class starts.
Looks like your dad's having a little bromance.
Yeah, but he deserves it, and it's awesome that it's with the guy's greatest Sean.
Who is talking?
I was just telling Lola that I think
the world revolves around Hannah?
This guy goes super hard on Hannah. He is like insanely aggressive and even is willing to fire people and tell Lola to stand in the back corner. Oh my gosh. Hannah goes back to visit her old choreographer to see she's in a full body cast, and Hannah is literally trying to ask her to come back.
What do you say we get you on your feet and into the dance studio? Come on.
Miley, this is not nice. You're visiting her. The nurse tells her to leave, and thank God. Meanwhile, Robbie and the new choreographer come back into the house, and it turns out that he saved Robbie by sucking the venom out of his leg on a motorcycle trip. Oh, so this guy's using his personal life to make up for his creative mistakes, which is kind of nuts. He says to Robbie that his friendship is payment enough for his choreography.
But never getting rid of me.
Never?
And Hannah is upset. Meanwhile, Joni does actually start to question Oliver's new alien-like hobby, even confiding in Jackson, which doesn't make sense. And she tries to get advice on how to break up with him.
Sometimes things like this happen in this crazy mixed-up world. But somehow, I think he's gonna be okay.
So Hannah goes back to dance rehearsal and tells her backup dancers that they have to suck it up because this choreographer is actually a really good person. It doesn't matter how strict he is. He comes in and takes things way too far with a new choreography dance where she is a puppet and has strings attached to her limbs. It's really funny to show how controlled Miley is and how far Sean is willing to take this. He uses it as a metaphor of breaking free of the strings, and come on, guy, you're just being abusive at this point.
Well, shouldn't there be a part where I break free? Like now?
No.
As they go through rehearsal, this contraption actually manages to fling Hannah out the window. So they put Sean on the strings and make him dance for the end. Robbie reveals that nobody messes with his little girl, so he does have a line to draw, even though this guy saved her life, Robbie. This one is fun because we get a peek into Hannah's choreography life, and that's something we don't really see a lot. The more episodes we get, it seems like the more detailed plot lines we get into Hannah's pop star career. And as somebody who loves entertainment, it is really cool to get insight on all these performances and rehearsals and hiring a choreographer and such. Now, before we cover the next 2 episodes that take place for the movie, let's dive into Hannah Montana 3, the album. What's up, everybody? It's Johnny 2000. Did that mess up the mic? What's up, guys? I am here today to talk to you guys about Hannah Montana 3, the best Hannah Montana album out there. Now, this does not only encapsulate the show, it encapsulates the essence of what Hannah Montana represents: independence, growing up, and yet somehow superheroism. If that's a word. Superheroism. Heroine superism. But yeah, let's go. I want to go track by track, talk about some of the important people that made these songs happen, and then talk about how apparently there is a deluxe edition DVD that I'm going to try to get my hands on next, because I didn't even know that was a thing. It's been really fun jumping into the 3rd season. This is definitely my favorite season of Hannah Montana for good reason. Like, there's a lot of character development, things get so much funnier, and they finally just let loose on all the pop star and teenage hijinks without thinking about it. It's like you expect them to run out of ideas with this. If anything, I feel like they're just getting started. The show is at an all-time peak. It's not just the show, it's the music. Yeah, that's right. We talked about the Hannah Montana 2 album, and there were some really good bangers on there. But yeah, there's actually 14 tracks, and 2 of them came as a big surprise to me, and I can't wait to kind of break these down for you. The thing that makes Hannah Montana so unique is that the albums so closely coincide with the story, the feeling of identity, and the split personality of Hannah and Miley. But I feel like Hannah Montana finds a place for every song and somehow could be connected to every episode that they're talking about. It's really nice when multimedia franchises work together to make something work really well, and this is a prime example. So let's start with track number 1. We got It's All Right Here, and I'm telling you, it's all right there! Somebody that helped write this song was Antonio Armato, and wrote songs for the Jonas Brothers, Vanessa Hudgens, and is responsible for Love You Like a Love Song, that Selena Gomez song. I wish this was in the Hannah Montana movie, if anything. My favorite part is the pre-chorus. It's just so catchy and leads us to like feel like we're pumping up to go somewhere really fun, and it's being in the moment, feeling what really goes on. And it's so crazy how the bridge just veers off and sounds almost like a hoedown for a moment. Like, how in the world did it go like that? Apparently also Timothy James Price worked on this, and he worked with the Cheetah Girls for some of their music, which it's exciting because I loved the Cheetah Girls growing up. That was actually my first concert. Sometimes the beat dances along with you. So for track number 2, we got Let's Do This. See, this is kind of weird because it's like we have 2 songs that are just pumping up the party, not to be ironic. But Let's Do This kind of pumps you up in a different way. It's kind of about setting out a goal and achieving the goal, but having the goal be so rooted in fun and adventure. I feel like if this were like about arriving somewhere and completely embracing everything life's about, is really what Hannah Montana is about. Let's Do This was used in all the promos for season 3, and it is a perfect encapsulation of the vibe of season 3. Like, we're here to have fun. Kind of like she did with We Got the Party in Us with the Jonas Brothers, if you guys remember that from the 2nd season. Hannah is in the spotlight now more than ever, so she has to keep her charisma. Then we have our first slow one, Mixed Up. Mixed Up is so heartfelt and talking about being lost in a transition in your life that you're just not ready for. And not only is Miley handling credit cards, the idea of everything you're doing under such scrutiny. I just feel so emotionally connected to that. Especially the chorus. I couldn't hear the chorus enough. I mean, like, play it over and over again and I will love it every time. Cara Diagardi wrote this song, and she wrote songs for Christina Aguilera, and she did a lot in the pop rock genre. I think she even won an award, and she was even a judge on American Idol in the 8th and 9th seasons. I mean, can you imagine? And also did He Could Be the One on this album. She worked with Mitch Allen, who is somebody who also made music for Demi Lovato, Third Eye Blind, and Jason Derulo? Yeah, this was a really good pop alternative rock guy. So He Could Be the One is the most infamous song on this whole album. Not only is it catchy, but it had a 2-part special based off of it. Literally, the Jake Ryan episode with Jesse, such a good episode. And I always hear people talking about how fun this song is. There's a lot of love songs out there, but this one is just naively optimistic, I guess. Like, diving into that deep part of us that is so happy to be in love and imagining a future together. It's like the sequel to If We Were a Movie, and it does it so well. Apparently, it reminded the people who wrote it of Shania Twain, which is kind of interesting. And then, for some reason, we jump back to a ballad, which is not necessarily a bad thing. All of these ballads seem to be very intentional. Like, Mixed Up is about confusion. Just a Girl is more about defeat, in the sense that, like, this world is so big and so much is going on. Like, there's only so much one can do, and being just this small person on this big planet is just so emotional. It's almost like a sequel song to Bigger Than Us. I know it doesn't sound like it at all, but I see it being one of those things. There's a yearning to get to know the place. And the final chorus is even more powerful than Mixed Up, I would say. It's just so good. I always used to get I Wanna Know You, featuring David Archuleta, confused with He Could Be the One, because I don't know, I guess they're both the most poppy songs on the album. But this song is a lot more genuine. It's about, like, really caring about somebody and wanting to get to know them more. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a romantic relationship, and that's what I like about Hannah Montana. I feel like the series focuses more about friendships, relationships with parents, all these really beautiful things in life that don't have an expectation set to it. And imagining just getting to know somebody just to really understand them and care about them, the song makes you feel like you're meeting Hannah. And then we got one of my absolute favorites for this album, Supergirl. In one of the episodes in early season 3, Robbie was actually creating this song, which is so meta, I guess. But like that idea that like when you put on that wig you become like a superstar, like you could fly, you could do anything. I mean, it's not exactly that, but being confident, being strong and powerful. It's like the sequel to Rockstar from the second album. But this time it's taking, I would say Rockstar is more celebratory and Supergirl is more heroic. I mean, it's just so good. Every part of me is taking off the other ballads, and it's about giving yourself to other people. Every inch of you and love you have is like just being spread out through everyone, and like almost like the emotional weight that something like that can cause. For me, the bridge is like the best part of the song, where it's just kind of like talking about like waiting too long, finding out where you belong. It's like giving yourself away but still being grateful for all these opportunities. Like, it is so good in that sense. Then we have Ice Cream Freeze. So Ice Cream Freeze is probably my least favorite on this album, but definitely still catchy. Like, for being the worst song on the album, I would say it's still a 9 out of 10. Like, everything on this album is iconic. It feels like a parody of the Hoedown Throwdown in almost a more comical way, and it's fun, but it's not really integrated into the show too much. It doesn't really have a lot of substance to it, I would guess. I feel like it's one of those get up and dance songs, which is great. Like, every kid's album needs something like that, and I love that it's a part of it. And then finally, our last ballad is, it looks like Don't Wanna Be Torn is actually one of the songs that the most people were working on, and it shows. Like, this song is so careful and it takes its time, it's vulnerable, but I think the word I would use to describe it is cautious. And it's interesting to end an album with the last ballad song being cautious, and I'm not sure it's intended that way, but I definitely feel like somebody is making a decision about something really important, and it's most notably in the He Could Be the One special. Somehow this show is so musically driven, but it's also separate from being called a musical. Like, I wouldn't call this a musical series, I would call it a series with music, but like, it is so good at perfecting that as an art. Like, a musical is something that coincides with the story that you can't live without, but Hannah Montana can live without the music and uses it as a texture to really develop the emotions that you would feel if you were in Hannah's position. So it's almost like you want to be Hannah Montana, but there's such emotional connections you'll have to a pop star that you can still feel right here as a normal person. And then it has such a great build up to a guitar solo at the very end, and it's like none of the other songs sound like this at all, except for the ballads. I mean, they're slow songs, they sound like each other, it's no big deal. But otherwise, like, Don't Wanna Be Torn, phenomenal. Let's Get Crazy takes us right back up to the excitement, and I am back to having a good time and remembering what Hannah Montana is all about. It's the hype up song in the movie. It's exciting to see Miley sing it in the show. It's all around good times and what makes Hannah Montana the best. God, I don't have that much more to say about it. So the 11th song I feel like would be the last one. Let's Get Crazy is a great way to end the album, and the next song is just I Wanna Know You Again, so I don't really want to talk about that too much. But one of the bonus tracks on this album is so good for no reason. Let's Make This Last Forever, and Hannah Montana's not even the one singing it. What? It's Oliver. I mean Mitchel Musso, but it's Oliver. It is a really good song. I really recommend you guys listening to it. It's weird because it's like a guy's song in the style of Hannah Montana, which no album has really done before. And the fact that it's one of the core cast members is even more exciting. And speaking of bonuses, we finally end on If We Were a Movie, but this time with Corbin Bleu. Yeah, and the song is a lot more enhanced, coming back from season 1 and just going all out in this one. I can't believe how surprised I was to enjoy this. Like, you expect it to just be the same song, but there's something about the harmonies of Corbin Bleu and Miley Cyrus that's just like, wow, this song is so careful in a really positive way. Like, it's like talking about fantasizing, being in love, so giddy about the future. I just, this whole album, I put this album on when I'm ready to get in my feels and have a party at the same time, which is kind of weird that, you know, you feel it like that, but I experience life that way. I feel like this relates to me a lot because I am one of two things. I'm either optimistic and having the time of my life, no pun intended, because that's a Miley Cyrus song, or I'm recontemplating my entire life. And it sounds like a little complicated, but it's true. It's feeling on top of the world, but then also a little under the world at the same time. It's two extremes. It's like grounded, it's like it allows you to be confident, and it just everything about this I love. Thank you guys so much for watching my review of the Hannah Montana Season 3 soundtrack, and I hope you guys feel as closely to it as I did. You know, it's not easy to make a show with music and separate it from a musical, give it its own identity, and Hannah Montana is so good at doing all of that and more. Not only do they have the best artists helping them make these songs, it's like, it just fits into the world so well. It's really nice, and it adds, I think it solidifies Hannah Montana as the perfect franchise. Okay, now that we went through the album, let's jump back into it. So the next episode we have is Cheat It, based on Beat It by Michael Jackson, obviously. So in the beginning, we see Miley posing with Austin Rain at the 15th annual Teen Scene Awards. And they look like they're a couple and sweet, calling this guy Austin Miley's new beau, Hannah's new beau. But the moment the cameras are off, Hannah and Austin show their actual disgust for each other. And they're only pretending to be a couple to promote their new duet, Us Isn't Us Without You. Oh my god, what a cringe name for something like that. Then we see Miley sticking her chewed gum onto Austin's face on the magazine cover. She does not like him. Lily jokes about how hot Austin is, only to get like a really annoyed response from Miley. Miley is about to leave when she sees Jackson suspiciously trading paper for some money with a guy.
Miley, you go here?
Oh, Jackson. She finds out that he bought test answers and flushes it down the toilet in the girl's bathroom.
Where do you think you're going, Stuart? Oh, the dress means it's the girls' room. Principal's office? Yeah.
Later, Miley warns Jackson not to cheat again. Jackson agrees, and Miley hugs him and tells him how proud she is. However, they have a visitor, the same boy Jackson was receiving the paper from yesterday. Miley realizes that he was still making deals with Jeff, even though he pretends like he's not. Oh my god, is Jackson like the villain of this show?
Can you believe that guy? Hey, I think I'm gonna go check the mail.
Jackson points out the hypocrisy because Miley is literally pretending to date somebody she's in love with. Like, how is that not the same? Miley tries to argue, but it's not really that different. Lily doesn't even take her side. She says Jackson has a point.
I know he's a jerk, but that song is still so darn romantic.
I know, but I was just thinking about Jackson the whole time.
Wow, that's a little weird.
I was talking about his cheating.
And saying while Jackson's doing something wrong, in his situation, he's only really lying to herself, but in Miley's situation, she's lying to the entire world. Woof. Meanwhile, Robbie Ray is tired after mopping the floor from general chores, which is always a fun subplot, and he sees an ad for Senor Steam. He gives it a call and ends up purchasing it, only to find out that Rico has owned the company since he was 10. Oh my god, how does Rico show up everywhere? Miley performs the song with Austin on the Jimmy Kimmel Knockoff show. She comes clean live on the talk show and admits,
The publicity people only made us pretend that we liked each other to sell our records.
Millions and millions of records, you little goofball, you.
oh my gosh, Miley in the public eye is so horrible this season. Like, I would not trust her anything I heard. Jackson is proud of her and even rips up the test answers. Later, Robbie has a problem with the sauna, so he calls Rico to come fix it. Rico has like a long call line, and it's really funny watching Robbie wait on the phone.
If you're experiencing noxious and or potentially fatal fumes coming from your cedar seat, press 67.
I'm gonna be 67 before this is over.
Jackson is so worried about not getting into college that he is determined to still go through with cheating. Miley tries to do whatever it takes to stop him from going to his test after she finds out that he has the answers written on him. Eventually, she tricks him into getting into Robbie's sauna, and Lily turns on the heat. Finally, the answers melt off of him, and him and Miley make up finally. This is a sweet episode because it's not like them versus one another, it's like them in their own situations, but kind of mentoring each other through it in a more active way. Like, clearly Miley cares about Jackson, and this episode makes her look a lot better. And I like that the sauna actually plays into the regular A plot. Like, it's not just Robbie getting a sauna and leaving, like, it actually has meaning to it. The episode ends with Robbie in the sauna, and Rico comes in too. Turns out the friends and family discount on the sauna means that the friends and family can come at any time. I would not have taken this discount. So next we have episode 11, Knock Knock Knocking on Jackson's Head. So if the last episode wasn't enough, Miley and Jackson are still butting heads. He ends up stealing her breakfast, and Miley suggests moving and leaving him behind. That's kind of dark, Miley.
I'll try just for you.
Let go of my tie!
Not until you apologize for ruining my razor on those sandpaper legs.
Then they have tug-of-war with Miley's pantyhose, and these guys are just getting worse and worse. The tug-of-war goes so far and Jackson even falls backward and hits himself on the head. It turns out he has amnesia. Woo, I love these types of episodes when the main character loses their memory, and I like that it's Jackson and not Miley. Later, Jackson comes back from the doctor, and it's confirmed he does not have his memory.
Jackson, who was the first president of the United States?
George Washington.
And who am I?
George Washington?
I'm your father.
My father's George Washington?
No! Your father's Robbie Ray Stewart!
Why is she yelling at me, George?
Jackson actually confides with Miley, trying to get his memories back, asking if they got along, and Miley says, like, he idolized her, which is obviously a lie.
And, you owe me $20.
Meanwhile, Rico's cousin Angus apparently is coming to town. And this is another trope where a character has that distant family member coming into town and the character has to lie about what they've been up to just to wear a certain facade. I think even Roxy had that plot in the last season. It is a doppelganger, and of course, another Disney Channel show that does this trope where the actor plays themselves and the twin. Miley did this, Mr. Dodzig did this in the last episode, and Mr. Mosby did this in The Sweet Life. I don't get why this is so appealing.
I'm kind of busy here with my very successful beachfront bistro.
Rico uses Lilly to say that he has a girlfriend, who is not excited about this. Later, Robbie and Hannah are about to go to a signing or something, and Jackson is acting super nice to Miley. It's revealed that apparently she wrote a diary for him to make all of his interests relevant to her. Oh my god, Miley, this is not good.
Travel mug, please.
Done and done, oh most awesomest divine delight of my life.
Divine delight of my life? Let me guess. Your diary?
You got it word for word. His memory just keeps getting better and better.
Meanwhile, Miley and Lily hang out. Lily tells her about how she has to be Rico's girlfriend, and Miley brags about how Jackson is really awesome now, until this really attractive guy comes to the beach and Miley wants to flirt with him. Unfortunately, Jackson is now an overprotective brother, and we're starting to see negative sides to this as he gets in the way.
You are?
Gabe.
Grade point average?
3-2.
Any plans for college?
Not yet.
Career goals?
I'm only 16.
Get out.
What?
I said get out, Mr. Man!
Later at school, he is even more overbearing. I don't know how he would go about school without recognizing anything. This is so crazy to me. He at least would need an excuse or something. This guy just went through a traumatic event. Jackson even handpicks out a guy for Miley. He's kind of a nerd and not fun, and Miley is super upset. She goes to talk to her dad and figure out when this amnesia is gonna go away, but he says it could last for years. Later, Miley decides to come clean and tell Jackson that they didn't actually get along, but he doesn't even believe her.
You're bratty and stinky and sloppy and lazy and stinky and horrible to live with and you're stinky.
She tells him she wrote the journal and everything. Later, Rico and his cousin start to have a dance-off on the beach. It even escalates so far that they start kung fu fighting in the sky, which is actually a little too ridiculous. Lily and Rico's cousin's girlfriend admit that they both were putting on a facade and leave the boys behind. Later, Miley actually goes through with the mementos and shows Jackson all of the Hannah stuff he messed up, but he's still not able to come back to normal.
Try it, it's fun.
No, I could never do that.
Jackson admits that this was all a joke and he was putting on this facade the whole time, but obviously Miley can't feel that bad because she literally used him. Like, Miley, what you did was worse. And that's how the episode ends.
Jackson! Jackson.
In number 12, You Give Lunch a Bad Name, which is a parody of You Give Love a Bad Name, Miley and Jackson see off Robbie Ray as he's about to go off with the band again. They dance in celebration because they finally have the house to themselves. Later, they get all gussied up and make fun of Robbie Ray as they go out to do whatever they feel like doing. They're interrupted when Meemaw comes to the door. You remember Meemaw every season but this one. Miley and Jackson are super impatient because they do not want to be watched by an adult, but Meemaw is here to stay.
Your daddy seems to think that you are old enough to be left on your own. And once again, he is not thinking straight. You know, I blame it on those tight jeans.
Miley and Jackson already feel claustrophobic with her in the house. And everybody knows not getting along with your grandparents is always interesting. Meemaw gives Miley and Jackson backpacks and forces them to wear it, so they go to school completely embarrassed. But thank God Meemaw's not there, so they can at least get some free time. Oh wait, Meemaw is on the staircase, calling out to both Miley and Jackson because they forgot their water bottles. Jackson runs to catch his water bottle and accidentally knocks out the school lunch lady. The principal is like, oh my God, we have to find a replacement, and of course Meemaw happens to be the right place, the right time.
But where am I going to find somebody with years of experience of our beloved Jamie?
Judy.
Whatever.
She flirts with the principal, which is uncomfortable, and takes the position. Miley, Jackson, Oliver, and Lily are embarrassed now as Meemaw becomes one of the most embarrassing lunch ladies ever.
Hey, where do you think you're going?
I'm all finished.
With all of that coleslaw left? I don't think so.
She's strict and does a lot of things that lunch ladies shouldn't have the power to do. Rico leads a charge and everybody hating her.
Yeah, you know, they're not gonna blame you for what your grandma's doing.
You brought this plague upon us.
Jackson tries to talk to his mama, but he's interrupted when she's super kind and caring to him, and she guilts him essentially. He decides to try to get used to the idea. They later come up with an idea to get mama fired, so they have Jackson pose as a health inspector to come check on the kitchen while she's in it. She's really sour toward this guy and they're not getting along, but it's so funny to see Jackson act like this. This is probably Jackson's funniest persona. Jackson cannot find a single thing that would validate a health inspector needing to be there, so Miley has to interfere. When Jackson gets a moment alone with her, he tries to convince Miley to leave a piece of her hair in the kitchen. It works, and Mama is completely suspicious and is able to figure out what happened, and that Jackson is not really a health inspector.
Jackson? What is going on?
Later, she's sad and Jackson and Miley try to apologize. I can't tell if they're actually sorry or just because they got caught. It's one of those episodes where they feel bad because obviously they didn't feel comfortable telling her that she was embarrassing them, but they all make up as Mama accepts the boundary and she goes surfing with the principal, and that's how it ends. Isn't it hard to believe that this is the last episode before the Hannah Montana movie? Like, what about this actually led to it happening? The only reason I know this is because the next episode is where Lily and Oliver start dating, and obviously that doesn't happen in time for the movie. And everywhere online says that the movie takes place after episode 12 and before 13, which makes complete sense. Especially with all of these antics of Jackson trying to get into college. It finally does pay off in the Hannah Montana movie when he actually goes to it. It's really hard to connect the movie and the TV show, except for really small minor details, like whether it's dialogue of somebody saying something or referencing Crowley Corners somehow. But if we could piece this together ourselves, it kind of does make a lot of sense. Whew, well, that was fun. What'd you guys think of these first 12 episodes? And are you excited for the movie to come in? I know I am. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this abnormally long video, and I'm so excited for you to join me in the future. Until then, this is Johnny 2000s with TV, movies, video games, and more. See you guys next time.